Welcome once again to the Polity, your darling program by KAFTAN Television, broadcast from the Abuja studio. My name is Dayo Omoogun. It's a great privilege to be on this side, and I'm glad to know that you are on the other side. And together we make a winning team every day and any day. And today we will be talking about the American elections that has been won and lost, and we want to take our takeaways, our lessons from that election, and want to also look at what exactly are the implications for us, for Nigeria. Many Nigerians are, when the name Donald Trump is mentioned, they generally have this feeling that he's anti-immigration. And for the people who are constantly on the lookout for greener pastures, it looks as if it's bad news to them. But I think that we need to understand what Donald Trump stands for in the right perspective, that it's not saying there should be no immigration, it's just saying do the right thing. If you're going to have to embark on immigration, it has to be done the proper way. I think that's what he stands for. And then many people who are also not comfortable with him around the world. Some belong in associations such as the LGBTQ, and so we can understand their situation. But this man has said, and he didn't hide during the campaigns, he put his cat's face up on the table, and that's one of the greatest hallmarks of greatness that you can think about. Some other politicians would have been a little bit, how do you say it now? They wouldn't have come. They wouldn't have been that forthright with those, with their stand on those issues. But here is a Donald Trump that faces the issues very squarely. So you know what you're doing when you choose him. You know what to expect. And with me in the studio this afternoon, I have someone who is amply qualified to handle the issue today. He is the online editor of the leadership newspapers. He goes by the name Gbadebo. There's one that we have been leaving out. I don't know why we are leaving it out. And today I want to add Asiwaju Gbadebo. Maybe he's deferring to the Asiwaju that is the president. He doesn't want any feeling of competition. But clearly his names are Asiwaju, if it is correct to say His name is Asiwaju Gbadebo. You're welcome.
My pleasure. Good afternoon, Abuja, Nigeria, as it is.
Yeah, it's good to have you once again.
My pleasure.
Thank you. You've always been available for us. You're a real source of support. We pray that nature will grant you many rewards.
Amen.
And that by these efforts at the end, we will all be able to forge and form and bring about a Nigeria that
exactly.
Yeah.
Amen.
Now, so quickly, the results have come. U.S. elections have been won and lost. Did the outcome surprise you?
I wasn't surprised at all. I also had anticipated that Donald Trump will actually stage a comeback.
Really?
Yes, but of course, it might be surprising to some people, given the fact that the personality of the person Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So for some,
and also the personality of the main contender.
Yeah, the Democratic,
the current vice president,
Democratic candidate,
yes.
Kamala Harris.
Yes.
Now, for some person, I think the reason for their surprise is not far-fetched. We look at a man that's very controversial, and they believe, America will not afford to have a controversial person like Donald Trump back at the Oval Office. But then, they didn't know that politics is beyond what you can just conclude about. Politics is far deep. It's far deep. A lot of reasons actually contributed to Donald Trump's stunning comeback.
Stunning, I like the word stunning.
Yes, stunning comeback.
To me, it's stunning.
And very stunning.
I love him. I wanted him to win.
Oh, okay.
But 2 days ago, I was so downcast about the way the things were going, and I posted on my Facebook page. I said, "Looks like Donald Trump is going to lose." sad though. Quickly, I had some of my friends, including Uzazima, including Ewache Ajefu, quickly said, no, please, that's not
going to happen. That's not going to happen. Yeah, it was a tightly contested election.
Exactly.
Tightly contested election.
And when you look at the fact that a woman was in the race and was doing good, and when you think about gender issues, when you think about
some
the
kind
race,
of sympathy, you naturally come the way of Kamala Harris and the rest.
Yeah,
and that's why I say
she's in office currently.
Exactly.
You think that
in the US, the incumbency factor does not.
Yeah, that's true. That's how Trump.
Unlike in our own clan, where you can use state powers to influence, in that place, that's not correct. But so people thought, oh, it's controversial, and America cannot afford someone as controversial as Donald Trump to return to the office. But see what happened. The man did not just win the election.
He won with
convincingly, exactly, and he upped his game. Different. He had a new scorecard, or a new scorecard, different from what he recorded 8 years ago when he first came. Now, in this case, he won both popular vote
and electoral
college.
That should say something about the fact that about how much the perception of Americans about the Democratic Party and the Republican Party,
exactly,
as well as
and even the personalities
involved
of the candidates,
exactly,
and the programs they initiated, they championed during the electioneering campaign.
Yes.
Those are the things that did the magic.
Those are the issues.
Yes.
And again, there are all kinds of international crises around that maybe it looks as if
influence the election.
No, going by his pedigree. Most Americans, even around the world, people think that this man will be able to
douse the tension.
Like the Ukraine-Russia war,
the Middle East, the Israeli, Hezbollah.
So there are a whole lot of issues that must have contributed to the outcome.
Exactly.
So, but what is? Let's deconstruct what makes him controversial. What really? Why does he have that gab? Why does he have that tag of being controversial?
Well, Donald Trump as a person is a blunt.
Very blunt, which is rare in politics.
Exactly. That's number one. It's bluntness, frankness in speaking. Whether good or bad, you just say it out. And remember that until his election in 2016, as the 45th president of the United States, he was never a politician.
Exactly. He came
a businessman all his life.
Yes.
Just came from the blues, took the Oval Office.
Yes.
Now, 4 years after, of course, before he served out the first tenure of 4 years, a lot of controversial pronouncements here and there. Chiefly, his anti-immigration stance. Building wall around the US against Mexico, and there was all those things made him controversial. Then fast forward to 2020. When he lost his re-election bid, his utterances, his conduct were unprecedented. And the resultant effect. An unprecedented thing happened in American history. The Capitol riot. A law enforcement officer was killed. Innocent Americans were also killed. Remember, as we speak, 4 years down the line, the case is still there. He has been convicted, waiting for sentences just few days in this month. Now, history again. The first convicted felon to be elected president.
No.
So America is in a kind of a dilemma. You can't prosecute a sitting president. What do you do? Now talks are ongoing whether to wind down the case. Forget about it and move on.
Because that case on its own was also a huge, it was touted to be a huge barrier against even his ambition.
Yes, we thought so.
Exactly.
In fact, we thought so. That there were political
intrigues
put in his place to stop him from becoming the president. I remember his case is not about the criminal proceeding about the election riots alone. The hush money thing, given to a porn star, corruption, withholding, even after leaving office, he was accused of withholding official documents that the FBI had to go to his posh apartment in Alago, to retrieve government documents. A lot of cases, against him.
Well, this says a lot for his guts, though. I mean,
give it to him.
Continue to plod on and on and on to this point. It says a whole lot about. And that should speak to millions of human beings around the world that you don't give up until
on a course.
Yes,
you have a conviction.
Exactly. Until you are stopped, you keep moving.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think there's a whole lot of message in that.
Exactly.
Yeah, very positive one too.
Exactly.
Because people are generally from time to time faced with all kinds of situations that are daunting, that are discouraging, that are frustrating. But this is a case that says to you, it's not over until it is over.
Yes.
Yeah. So now let's look at what are the lessons we had, in spite of his cases, in spite of whatever, in spite of his controversial nature and whatever. Nothing was done specifically as a political ploy to really stop him. Unlike, apart from what he timed political, and I don't think that the establishment, institutions,
deliberately put something in his way. No.
You can imagine that.
He caused everything by himself.
And then some
blaming
extraneous facts.
No, he was never deterred at the same time.
Exactly. Like the shootings about 3 times, right?
No, he escaped twice.
Was it twice or thrice?
Twice. Assassination attempt twice.
Okay. And so you can imagine that in spite of that, he went on ahead, and they didn't put some underhand things.
That's US for you.
So
the system is working.
That's a lesson to learn.
Exactly.
And then look at the seamless way the elections held. Seamless.
It's not new.
You know that
that's been their culture.
Very creative, very funny. On social media yesterday, they were
counting island.
They were saying the only person who can save
Kamala
Harris now is her election.
That's very
that's a very pungent.
Exactly. It speaks a lot about our lack of credible electoral culture.
Just look at the seamlessness. Just look at the way it went. And then it was clear when the victory was won. There's nothing to, and then the leading contender in her concession statement said, one of the beauties of American democracy is that when you lose, you accept. No unnecessary. And then that, for me, was also talking back to Trump.
Trump.
Unlike what
his conduct 4 years earlier.
4 years ago, yeah.
Exactly.
So, and that one is very smart.
And I want to believe we'll have done the same thing. If the result has gone the other way, he will do the same thing.
Yeah. So it's very interesting how the US continues to lead the way in terms of democratic values and democratic practices, ensuring that they set the bar. They set the bar all the time. Imagine if it were Nigeria, even the case that's still pending in court because of what his conduct in 2020.
It would be enough to even throw you out of the race.
Not that they would even have quelled it. I mean, you won't hear the matter any longer because of his status.
It doesn't happen in America.
Exactly. So I really think that there are a whole lot of.
And we don't have a former president standing trial in Nigeria.
No.
Even though many of them have questions to answer.
Plenty.
Over their stewardship in office.
Yes, and
but there is an unwritten
rule that you
don't touch former president.
Point. Yeah. So I mean, these are some of the things that we need to learn. Takeaways from the American election. And again, you will find that a whole technology is involved. There's a whole lot of elections that are being held even before the DTAH. I think that these are some of the things. For example, why can't people, our diasporan Nigerians, vote in elections? Why? And then why must we be physically on the road just on one day to elect the president and all that? There are a whole lot of things that we must copy and modify to suit our own situation so that we can have better elections. What do you think?
I think why we don't have diaspora voting, the answer is very, very clear.
Because
we don't have the provision in our law book.
Exactly, we don't.
So the Constitution, which is the ground up, already prescribed how we should exercise our franchise in Nigeria.
Yes.
And voting by proxy or by long distance is not there.
So shouldn't we open?
They have been called. Yes.
Field,
in fact, what makes democracy interesting and better is the popular saying of the more the merrier.
Exactly.
So we need, and that's what makes it participatory democracy.
Participatory democracy.
More people.
And then.
So we have millions of Nigerians outside the shores of this country.
That's correct.
They are remitting
so much
billions of dollars to this country, helping the economy. So they should also have a say.
So why should they be disenfranchised?
In how we choose our leaders.
Exactly.
There have been calls to the National Assembly to amend the Constitution, as the case may be, or the Electoral Act. But then they've been for dragging. But I want to believe, probably, it will expose a lot of things and they are not interested. You know, they are only perpetuating themselves in power.
Exactly.
A lot of them too rigid.
First, yeah.
Recall the 2020, the last general election 2023.
Yeah.
INEC read out a figure at a certain time. I was alarmed that the number of cases, post-election cases, it was contending with before the law court at the time. That in itself
is a problem.
Beyond the problem is an indication that our electoral process is not acceptable, is not credible.
It's not.
That's why it is contested. So many people are contesting it.
Yeah, so many issues.
So
many
we have a lot of road to travel to make it right. Interestingly again, the INEC delegation was part of the people who observed the US election 2 days ago.
But so they will not domesticate whatever.
Thank you. What is that takeaway? And I know that will cost us hundreds of millions in taxpayers' money. But what are we gaining from it? In terms of naira and kobo, what is value? No value. So we have a lot of things to actually reject to make sure we can be like America. Even though we claim to copy democracy model from there, we do this, we do that, but then we're not doing what we're doing a whole lot. Yeah. So the diaspora voting thing is not even the only thing we need.
There's a whole lot. There's a whole lot.
The voting system in Nigeria itself needs to be
improved upon. Yeah.
We need to bring more innovation to it.
Exactly.
Like you say, let me be in the comfort of my home and vote for my personal security.
Exactly.
I don't need to be on the queue for anyone to attack me.
It will cut down issues of security or whatever. It will make
electoral violence
as private as possible.
Exactly.
Nobody, you just on your system, you just make your.
But leaders are not interested.
This is possible if from your comfort of your home you can transfer funds to people. You can write to them wherever they are.
You can imagine.
But
you cannot vote. In the US, people voted weeks before.
Exactly, before the
main day, the November 5 date.
Exactly. And that's what it should be.
Some person already sent their votes through the post office. So what are we talking about?
So, I mean, do we just keep watching and we don't take anything away from these things? Should that be our culture? It's becoming a culture that we go to understudy systems and then it doesn't translate to any improvement.
I think the ball is in our court as Nigerians. We should choose people who will believe we actually do our bidding when they get to position of authority, whether at the legislative level of government or the executive arm of government.
Yes, but
we don't choose judiciary.
Right.
They rise through the ranks
exactly
of merit. Yeah. But for legislative and executive, we vote. So we should only vote those people who believe we do our bidding.
Yes, but isn't there the narrative that even the voter is handicapped about choosing? He can't even choose.
The system from foundation has been faulty.
Yeah, exactly.
So the end result will be faulty.
Of course.
And interestingly, the outcome of the American election, the 2024 US election, was actually determined by issues.
Issues all the way.
3 key issues. So people who are asking questions, how did Trump make it? Which was based on issues, simple, no sentiment.
Yeah.
One, Trump was very clear about his
abortion
immigration status.
Yeah, very clear. It wasn't mincing words.
And to the average American, those messages resonated with them.
I think so.
Especially
the outcome shows so.
I mean, the America First slogan and making America great again.
The guy knows how to get to the to the people.
Kamala Harris was neither here nor there on those issues.
Yes.
So I think she was, carrying on with the sentiment that I'm a woman, there will be some kind of sympathy.
But the overriding sympathy should be for the value of life. The value of life. I think that's where the Democratic Party is missing it. Secondly,
in America today there is high inflation. There is unemployment.
Yeah.
Crime rate is on the increase. Trump was clear about those issues and how he was going to tackle them.
And I think on some of those issues also he had scored high in his previous outing.
Exactly.
So people could, they could connect with that as a basis for also.
One of the magic ones was that he was able now to appeal to a large population of young Americans. His messages appealed to them, and now see the end results. He won the popular vote, he won the electoral college convincingly.
Very clearly. I mean, that's
8 years earlier,
a big one.
He lost the popular vote.
He only managed to win
the electoral college.
He has come a long, long way. He's covered some ground.
So 8 years ago, he defeated a woman,
and at that
Hillary Clinton. 8 years after,
he has defeated
another woman.
And then at that time, I don't think he had the kind of very putrid baggage that he has now. Even at,
you can imagine.
Even at that time, he did not.
He was just coming fresh.
Even though he had some issues
from the business, but maybe ethical in the business world.
Not this bad.
But now, in spite of both ethical, political baggages, combine them together, and was able to weather the storm.
I think that he deserves some big up. No, really, because I didn't. Towards the end, when they were running neck to neck, I said, wow, it looks as if Kamala Harris, and she's fast talking, she sounds very articulate, carries herself well, she knows
highly educated, experienced, senator,
and so it was looking like this thing, Kamala was going to win. No, there's nothing really wrong with it.
Don't bank on exit polls all the time. Every poll should just be a call to action.
so I really agree with you that it had to do with issues. It had to do with issues.
Clear
it was clear that, look, I won't accept people who do not come through the right way. People who barge their way into America is a no-no. It was clear. It was clear. And then he has also said to the LGBT community, a man marrying a man will face prosecution. It's totally unacceptable. And then you find so many other things that have to do with values, that have to do with morals.
Right, Nigeria
is a part of you saying, oh, he's a brigand, he's this one, he's whatever.
A different ballgame.
Exactly. I mean, he sits with the traditional American society. I'm sure that the elderly ones, most of them cutting across race and all that, will have given him his vote.
Yeah. On the contrary,
again, America was founded on this Christian foundation, the evangelical and all that. So how do you suddenly just deviate and begin to do very contrary things to what the foundation was? I think that a lot of Americans are beginning to also look at it and say, look, this decadence is getting yes, I think so. Yeah, so there are a whole lot of issues that we need to look at our own situation and put them side by side and forge our value system. What exactly should we be expecting from our own politicians from next year, right? I mean, just here from next year, you can be sure that politicking
will start ahead of 2027 election cycle.
To begin to learn from some of these things and begin to apply them. Let's have one politician who is forthright, who says it as it is, whether he wins or loses. In fact, let's have more of such kind of politicians. Not people who put you on the pedestal, make you feel good, and at the end you don't get anything in return. I mean, we can all see what we're going through right now. I mean, nobody expected this level of pain and misery. Nobody expected. Many of us did say that the man coming into office was armed with experience, had a pedigree of administrative skills,
both in private and public sector. Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the governors who held his own in spite of even opposition from the federal government during his tenure as governor. So there was a whole lot, even though many people said, well, the party didn't do too well, but because of that individual, many people said they gravitated towards him and said, let's give him a chance. But we must be clear that a whole lot still needs to be done.
Probably has been overwhelmed.
I find it difficult to accept that.
But
because now in the news today, we read that 100,000 vehicles have been converted to CNG. And I look at 100,000 vehicles out of a population. If there's a record, millions of vehicles. 15 million vehicles. So how do you talk about 100,000? At that pace, 20 years time, we will be ready. So I think that a whole lot needs to be learnt. A whole lot needs. People are watching, and very soon, some of the things that currently hold sway here will begin to give way to, whether incumbency or whatever that we hold on to. And I mean, after all, even in this same climb, an incumbent president was trounced by this same party.
Exactly, in 2015.
In 2015. So we need to really, I believe we need to really wake up and chart a new path for the nation.
Exactly.
Let's look at the example of the people that we copied from, and then try to, at least with necessary modifications, try to follow those that have gone before us. After this break, I'll put the lines open so that you can make your calls and make your contributions. The number remains 0802-9938-365. And after this break, it will be on the screen. I want to appeal to you that in order to make the program enjoyable, enlightening, effective for all of us, you would need to observe the ground rules. Number one, that you put down the volume of your TV set. Number two, that you walk away from the TV set. And number three, that as much as possible, put down the ideas you want to articulate, but at least put down the main points so that you don't have to ramble, and you won't lose the train of your thoughts, and you can, as much as possible, give your opinion with a punch, because the whole world is listening, and they are waiting for that your wisdom, they are waiting for that your idea to make the necessary change in the country that is generally known as the giant of Africa. After this break.
In the beginning, God created a beautiful world.
3, 2, 1. Action.
And that's why, at KAFTAN Television,
we imagine a beautiful world.
We are not just bragging.
We blaze the trail in broadcasting. And it is about you.
At KAFTANTV, broadcasting is not just about information, education, and entertainment.
It's an aggregation of all you need to know in Nigeria
And around the world to create signal.
At KAFTAN Television, we have all it takes to be on top in broadcasting.
Our mission is simple: to project Africa in a truthful yet positive manner.
Wait, we're coming to you in style.
Here we are, starting from September.
Take a look at what the facts are.
And as you say on KAFTAN TV, imagine a beautiful world.
Welcome back, viewers, and I hope that you've enjoyed the first part of this show this afternoon, and I can assure you that it gets better even towards the end. As we progress through the program and towards the end in very short order, I expect that a whole lot of issues will be trashed, and that your own voice will also be heard. And let me remind us that we have ground rules. You put down the volume of your TV set, and then you walk away from your TV set, and also ensure that you articulate your thoughts as flawlessly as possible, because you never know. Mr. President might just be waiting for that idea that God has put in your mind, and that may be the game changer. So, but it has to be articulated properly and within limited time, because there are several persons who most likely want to call. And so you can do the calling right away from now, even as we progress in this program. And the number is on the screen, 080 299 38365. And please do yourself a favor, do us a favor by following the ground rules, because this time around any call that does not comply with the ground rule will be shut out. Thank you. We all are great people who are very hungry, who want to make the country better, and so we must abide by rules and regulations. Thank you very much. Now, so, Editor, what do you think is the implication of a Trump victory for Nigeria and maybe for Africa? For someone who is so blunt that he once called Africa a shithole. Yes, some people, that's the memory of Trump that they have. What do you think it portends, the victory of Trump portends for Nigeria and maybe by extension Africa?
Well, let me speak as a journalist. Naturally, Africa will be dealt with by the incoming Trump administration based on the kind of image Africa as a whole be creating for itself.
Hold on, let's do this so that we can. Oh my. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So the relationship will be based on the kind of image Africa as a continent will be creating for itself, and that applies to Nigeria too. Like the Yoruba will say that the way you present your wares is the way customer will also want to approach you. So if Africa presents itself from a vantage position, I want to believe Trump will also come along and relate with Africa
based on that
pedestal. But a continent, suffering deficits of good governance, constant human rights violation, a lot of kind of societal ills. Of course, the West will look at you as a group of unserious people, and they want to deal with you
on that basis.
And
that's who Trump is.
That's who Trump is, and that's what informed that the statement of Shito in the past.
Let's see if we can take this. Please don't forget your train of thought. Good afternoon. Really? No.
So,
yeah.
Probably the person wants to hail Nigeria before having a say.
Person just having.
No. Another possible implication is that Africa may continue to be a battleground of a Cold War. If you look at it as we speak, China, Russia are having a field day in Africa.
Yeah, they are having inroads, making inroads.
Every day. They're having a field day in different fronts. A Trump presidency, which of course will be averse to Russian interests anywhere, Chinese interests anywhere, will come with new policies in Africa to make sure it upstage both the Russian and the Chinese dominance in Africa.
Especially a government, an administration that is championing America first.
America first, thank you. In doing that, or in doing so, of course, Africa becomes a battleground of a Cold War.
Well,
that could be advantage.
That's what I want to say. It might turn out advantageous.
If again, like I said earlier, Africa is able to present itself from a vantage position
itself well, yeah,
and reap the benefits.
Yes.
But if it does not, Africa will remain vulnerable. don't forget, in the first 4 years of Trump, he was putting Nigeria at bay.
Exactly.
He didn't want to deal with Nigeria. He came to some countries in Africa very close to us.
Even Obama came to Ghana here and didn't.
Nigeria was shunned.
Yeah.
Why? So a lot of soul searching needed to be done to beyond just issues a statement to congratulate Trump and say, oh, we are ready to collaborate and work with you. Are you coming with a clean slate? Are you coming with the right mindset?
With a readiness to make necessary changes.
Exactly.
Are you coming with the old habits?
But I know the people at the ends of affairs in Nigeria will tell you, no, don't cut that bullshit, that we are all sovereign nations. No sovereign nation should decide for the other sovereign nation.
Yes, we capitulate when it comes to
but if you are looked down on all the time, you should check yourself.
Yeah, there's a problem.
There's a problem. So these are the issues. And these are the potential implications for Africa.
President.
Yeah, Africa could be a battleground of a Cold War involving America under Trump, China, and Russia.
And come to think of it, if you look at it, like you have also espoused, it's Africa actually playing into the hands of these people by the poor governance that is being dished out by the leaders.
Yes.
Yes, we're the ones putting ourselves in that
tight corner.
Exactly. So
yes,
the message is that we need to work on ourselves.
And don't forget, you're also always begging cap in hands for aid.
Exactly.
Of course. So.
And I mean, if smaller countries with little or no resources, with very few human capital, if they beg, I think it might still make some sense.
Understanding.
Exactly. But when a giant like Nigeria, that God has blessed to be a giant in every ramification, now reduces itself to a beggar with a cap in hand, then I mean, there's no beggar who determines how he's treated.
And already Nigeria's influence in Africa
is waning.
Shrinking every day.
Yeah.
And I don't even know, if you ask me, what is the policy focus of foreign policy directive of President Tinubu?
It's something that is close.
Where are we? Where do we belong? Is it Nigeria first? Is it Africa first? Is it where do we don't even know?
Even speak right now, the country does not have
representatives,
does not have what do you call it now, ambassadors or high commissioners.
Yes, in some foreign nations
around the world.
Or they've been recalled and they've not been appointed. Why? High-state politics have been stalling those appointments.
So, I mean,
so that points to the kind of premium we are placing on foreign policy and diplomacy, or even international politics.
And if you look at some of the steps that we took that turned to missteps, you would see that a whole lot of homework needs to be done on the foreign.
That was why.
Because look at the dance that we had, the unfortunate dance we had with the issue with some of the African states that moved from democracy to
the ECOWAS members
look at how we
were dead and
exactly because
call of our bluff
because the steps were wrong in the first instance.
They were not there to do that few years ago under the military when ECOWAS was ECOWAS.
Exactly.
When ECOWAS was ECOWAS. When Nigeria was Nigeria.
Exactly. They wouldn't have done that. Let's see if we can take this. Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Dayo. Imagine a beautiful world.
That's KAFTANTV. Imagine a beautiful world. Now, I know it's Dudu that's calling, right?
Expo Dudu calling from Crossover State.
All right, go on.
Yes, good afternoon to our
guest,
analyst in the house.
Yeah.
Yes, return of Donald Trump as US president. Let's see, possible implications.
Yes.
Yes, very first of all, congratulate you for the well-deserved victory.
All right.
Honestly, the lessons are so enormous. Most especially for we Nigerians and Africa as a whole. We discovered that as Nigeria or African, we should think of our country first. We should take back our country. That was what the Americans demonstrated. They actually decided to take back their country and return Trump as the president. We pray that as he's coming back, we should do the needful. But be that as it may, a possible implication, most especially on the area of foreign policy. As it stands now, the foreign policy of this government, just as you are saying, we cannot clearly define it. Because I can't imagine how you will recall your ambassadors indiscriminately at the same time, and up to now, nothing has been done. It will take very well during the first tenure of Donald Trump. Nigeria as a country when Nigeria was being treated as trash. You don't need to use that, it may be very harsh. But let's state the obvious. Nigeria was treated as trash. We pray that as he's coming back, he should learn a very good lesson, or I think he might have learned the lessons. And learned so many lessons why the Americans rejected him in the last election. I am very sure the area of foreign policies is going to do the needful, most especially in the area of building a very wonderful and solid foreign policy. And again, to address the current issue of the economy. The American is also facing the same recession that Nigeria is facing. But that is notwithstanding. We are very sure that the economy of American as the war economy that affects also the economy of sub-Saharan Africa, of which Nigeria is one of the countries. So we are very sure that as he's coming back, he's going to do the needful. The tax ahead of him is actually enormous. I wish you well. Thank you so much. That is the little contribution I have so much.
Thank you for your intervention as usual. Thank you so much. He's a very regular caller, and usually he makes some good, very valuable interventions. Now, he probably was looking at the possible implications for Trump. But I think the angle that we're taking it from is for us. For us, yeah. So, what exactly do we expect? What are the things? How is it going to affect us? That's the whole essence of our discussion. How is it going to affect us? How do we look forward to better times? Are there things we need to rejig? You know, that it's like how you have the Universal Basic Education Fund Commission and the funds. But each state that wants to partake of it has to provide a counterpart fund. Yeah. Exactly. Now, you find out that in this very country, there are states that say they don't have money for counterpart funding, but they still engage in frivolous expenditures all over the place. So it's like that. If you want to enjoy the Trump administration, there definitely has to be some things that locally in Nigerian system and the African system must do right. And I think that that's what we must lay emphasis on. So, like we were saying, as of now, you find a situation where our world holds little or no water in Africa. And that's because, you know, you can't give what you do not have. If, for example, your country has been accused of very poor governance, misgovernance on a large scale, you have no moral trajectory, you have no moral high ground to begin to speak to other nations to do the needful in terms of good governance and all that and all that. I think that these are some of the things that have brought Nigeria to that very unfortunate part.
That was why countries like Mali, Niger Republic, and the third one, Mali, Niger Republic, no, not Gambia. The one with the junta. We are able to Guinea, one of the Guineas. Yeah. So they were able to look at us and the face and say to her, exactly, you can't dictate to us that we must have democracy, because they know the kind of democracy they are practicing. They know the kind of election we conduct. Let me tell you something which happened recently. The Super Eagles experience in Libya.
Yeah, that's it.
It was an accident. It was planned. And they knew why they did what they did. The Libyans.
Yeah.
Now I ask myself, will they have done the same thing to Bafana, South Africa? The answer I got from myself was probably no. And if probably the national soccer team of Libya had gone to America and they are maltreated, and the American national team will travel back to Libya for a return leg, Will Libya will have dared America to do the same thing?
To try to.
No. It was because it's Nigeria. So it's one of the indicators that influence
is really going down.
Going down.
And a whole lot of work.
So we need a lot of soul searching.
Well, let's believe that with the strengthening of the ministry, with the appointment of the Minister of State Foreign Affairs in the person of Bianca.
Okay, for Ambassador Bianca Ojukwu.
Exactly. Let's hope that her experience will come to.
Okay, whether it will change?
It will change.
Well, I don't believe it's about the minister. It's about the big man. It's about the main captain of the ship.
Right.
Ministers are just messengers. You give them directive,
they follow.
They go out to execute it. So it's about the country. What does President Tinubu want for Nigeria on the international scene? Okay, let me tell you another thing. Today's Thursday.
Yeah.
Just yesterday. Very embarrassing. Honorable Abuke Dayo,
yes,
the chairman of Nigerian Diaspora Commission, NIGCOM,
yes,
was lamenting on national television that our office, NIGCOM, twice approached Kenny Bablock, the new conservative leader in the UK.
Party leader, conservative
party leader. And there was no response. And she concluded that Nigeria was not interested in forcing anyone to identify as Nigerian. What does that tell you? We are even struggling to identify with somebody who has succeeded on the international scene. Do we need that? If somebody
if somebody will be the one that wants to identify
with our roots.
Yes.
So that's how low we've gone. A lot of things are wrong. You know, like maybe your family member is a senator in Lagos and you want people to know you are the one that's struggling to say, hey, we are related, oh, hey, it's our cousin, it's our father's younger brother. You know,
this time around is the country that is struggling to identify with an individual.
Even if
that's sad.
Somebody today in Nigeria or any African country will become a president and he has American heritage, America will not tell the world that this guy is from here.
Who will keep making reference to that heritage. Yeah, I tell you, very good point you just.
Kenya was not falling over itself when Obama became president of the US.
That's true.
But because of the Kenyan status, Obama himself was telling the world that this is where I originated from.
Yeah, a whole lot. I mean, how do you really want the country, I mean, your people from your country to identify with you when you have not provided that kind of environment, when you have not identified with them in their time of need, when you have not
a good image,
there's no good image,
human rights violation every day,
too many
corruption as a signature. You know,
you can't force a child to identify with a father that has proven himself very irresponsible over time. I think that's the picture that we have. It's our leaders have a lot to do. Definitely, they have a lot to do. I mean, that's
so
very poignant.
Who had a Nigerian father cannot identify with us? Is it Trump that will identify with us? It's about image.
We need to work on ourselves.
It's about image.
Now, where are my viewers? Let's have your call. Let's have your contribution. So, there's a whole lot of work to be done from within us. That's what you're saying.
Exactly. Soul searching.
I mean, when a country that cannot feed itself, the most basic need, the citizens have to go all over the world in search of Medicare, that goes cap in hand to borrow money, and those monies are frittered away on white elephant projects, apart from the ones that are used to line up pockets of top politicians and all the leaders and their cronies. So what exactly do you want to present? What should somebody be proud of? So there's a whole lot that we need to do. Again, I think that the recent appointments might just make some difference, because I particularly am
the ministerial appointment, that will bolster the cabinet.
Exactly.
We can only keep our fingers crossed.
I'm particularly interested in the appointment of Sunday Dare, for example, to strengthen the Ministry of
Communication, presidential communication.
There's a whole lot, again, in spite of our deficiencies, there are a whole lot of strengths that we can also bring to the burner, to the front burner, to position our country in positive light. But a whole lot of that is not being done. Today, I mean, we just had the issue of the children who were moving about with some other country's flag. Those children hardly know the difference. They don't know what it means. They were just having a jamboree, some of them. Now, but we can begin to guide our children with a proper orientation. We have a national orientation agency. We do recall the glorious years, the golden years of the National Orientation Agency in this country, when you had some people in. I mean, it might sound very discomforting and disconcerting when you begin to make these comparisons, but I mean, we do those things in order to challenge people to do what is right. We had Professor Jerry Ghana in charge of that, when you had this coinage, if you're a driver, drive well. If you're a manager, manage well. If whatever it is that you do it well. I think that we all need to come to that point again when we put value on service delivery, on selflessness, on nationalism, on patriotism. But how can you do this when the man on the street is hungry, and if he says he's hungry, it becomes a crime? Who's going to be a poster boy for that kind of policy, when just recently people said, look, we need to tackle hunger, and you said, no, we must apply the jackboot, we must apply force. These are some of the issues. Yeah,
exactly. And you see, even the government is not leading from the front. And you know, Nigerians get tired of rhetorics. Even when you spoke about senior journalist Sunday Diary's appointment to bolster the president's communication. Yeah, it's a good one, but beyond the rhetorics, people want to see action, matching words.
Exactly.
So there is an extent to which you can go talking, and people will begin to dismiss you.
A good product markets itself.
Exactly. So there is an extent to which you can go speaking good English. When you get to that extent, people don't get results, they begin to dismiss you. Now, the National Orientation Agency, you cited the example of Professor Jerry Ghana when he was, actually managing Nigerian Rebate or something.
Yes.
Now, look at the current National Orientation Agency, managed by a senior journalist, Mr. Larry
Onilu, yeah.
For almost 1 year now, he has been promising Nigerians that there will be a new Nigerian charter of values to guide our conduct, behaviors, and the rest. We've not seen it. 1 year. We've not seen it. He set up a committee and the rest of them, but they couldn't, up to now. Maybe I believe they are still working, but it's taking too much time.
If you know how
this government is in the second year already.
You know how the Yorubas would say that if you take 20 years to plan madness.
So how many years will you use for ruling the streets? You understand?
Ruling the streets. So
and these are things that Nigerians see and they become disenchanted, tired, disinterested. And people are worried, government is worried. They don't believe what we say again. They don't believe government promise. Yes, they won't believe because they are turning to rhetorics. They hear them every day.
And they're not backed up with action.
No backup with action. So they will get weary and disenchanted and begin to
listen. That's a message to the government. You need to back up words with action. And that's what my guest is saying in the house. What are you saying? Let's have your contribution. It's 080299365. 0802993 and 36 and 5. Let's have your call quickly because we're on the home run now, and in about 20 minutes we'll be out of here. I think that your call is very important, and you might just have the magic wand with which this country can experience the much needed turnaround. So let's hear it. Now, so we have a whole lot on our hands to do to take advantage, to milk the opportunities that come with a Trump presidency. Because if we're unable to milk these opportunities, what will happen is that we'll be saddled with the other side, which might be undesirous, I mean, not palatable.
Exactly.
So we really have work to do. We have work to do. And I hope that those responsible are listening. We'll continue to do our very best in the media and to support the country. But support does not mean, and I think that that's where we have issues a lot of the time, that people think that if you hold a dissenting position, you hate them. Even in personal relationships, this happens a lot of times. People think that if we say that we are friends,
should we criticize one another?
Exactly.
Like it should be a call to action.
Exactly, a call to action, a call to improvement, a call to self improvement, and to get you to do much better than you're currently doing. So it's nothing extreme. It's just to say, look, this country has greater potential than is being utilized and has greater resources than is being appropriately deployed. And I think that that's not too much to say. So now talking about other things that what other things would you think that we need to be doing? What other sectors do we need to work on, so that what other areas of national life? For example, you'll find, I mean, how do you want to get commended if the security challenges keep mounting? If people cannot do business safely, if people cannot do business and know that when there is a conflict, when there's a dispute, it will be properly resolved through the judicial system. I think that these are a whole lot of the issues that we must begin to make deliberate effort to correct, in order to make the place an enabling environment, even for business, for investment, for everybody to thrive. So that's an area I'd like you to weigh in on too.
Well, for me, I think our education sector
okay,
need to be looked into, need to be rejigged, need to be worked on. Everything about our education is almost becoming faulty, and that's why we're getting bad products from the school system. You're churning out people who are not employable.
Someone said this many years back, and then there was a whole lot of rumpus. How can you say that and all that? But
you're just churning out people with certificates, but they are not employable. Yes, they've been to school, but nothing to show for it. They went to school, the school never went through them. It's not their fault. It's about the system.
It's about the society.
So they fit to that system.
Yeah.
So government holds us a lot of favor by looking deeply into our education system. And I will give you one example about lack of a cohesive policy directive of the government, which is also a disservice to the education sector. You know, recently, one of the discharged ministers, the immediate past Minister of Education, Professor Dayo, came out with a policy of age limit for university or tertiary education.
Yes.
It became controversial.
It did, it was, yes.
You had to clarify, but a few weeks ago or 2 weeks ago he was asked to go.
Yes.
The new minister
has said that that's not,
Dr. Tuji Alausa said
they've done away with that.
Yes. What does that tell you? That policy was never a government, it was never a collective decision of a cabinet. It was just a personal thing.
Wow.
From the spur of the moment, just felt. Now someone came and also felt, oh, it's too much controversy for me to start with. Let me do away with it. Education is too serious.
Don't you think it could even have been part of his briefing when he was employed during the oath taking? What is it called now? The swearing in. It's possible that his boss, his principal, would have told him, this area going forward.
So
please.
why will the new minister come and?
I'm talking about the new minister.
Oh yes, yeah. Now this one has caused us embarrassment.
Yes. Now,
and probably that's one of the reasons it was asked to you.
So please make sure that this is.
Throughout his over 1 year and a half, it was about strike by either polytechnic lecturers or college of education lecturers. You know, a professor.
And unfortunately, it really gets to me all the time, because I mean the pomp with which it was received.
Yeah, given the background where
it was coming from. In fact, some of the senators, and during that session,
for his screening,
if you see how they celebrated him, told the whole world, it's my lecturer, it's my teacher. But I mean, lessons also. In every situation, we must be able to draw the appropriate lessons. That is not enough to be a professor that you deliver in certain circumstances.
So it's really for the last 2 years he has an office in his first tenure, need to look critically at our education.
One other area I think that
we see a lot of things. The out of school children.
If we need to work and get better image, it's also the power sector. I mean, just today.
The embarrassing and incessant power grid collapse.
Just 1 year, the 10th time that the grid collapsed.
The second one in 24 hours today, you know.
So what are we? I mean, we're not jokers. I don't think that we're not supposed to be jokers. We're not. I mean, how is this possible?
If you want to be in the same account.
We're not now even talking about 40,000 megawatts. We're not even now talking about achieving 20,000 megawatts. We're saying the 4,000 plus megawatts, let's even maintain it. And it's becoming a struggle.
But you know, I heard recently that we even have up to 15,000 megawatts, according to TCN Managing Director on national television.
Maybe
but that
generation,
yes, but that the infrastructure we have for distribution is 4,000. So it's as we don't have 15, we have 4.
Exactly.
It's whatever that you have that is useful for you.
Business is it that you have so much that is
false,
useless. Exactly. So
it want to be in the same climb. This power collapse, incessant power collapse, ought to have earned a public official sack. But you don't know your job, come and go.
But it doesn't.
So that will send signal to other people working that we need to get serious. But because in Nigeria it's business as usual.
These are the reasons
you pay for what you don't get. You pay for what you don't get. It's even an injustice.
Nobody's happy that we were called shitholes, but I mean, when you provide the how do you say it now? When you provide a kind of image, I mean, and these are the people, they are not waiting on you. We may not be able to say such things, but they are looking at us, and we just want to beckon, we just want to appeal to the government not to put us in a situation where people think that we can be treated like...
so I don't know what President Tinubu will be using to campaign for re-election. Probably we keep telling Nigerians, I floated the naira, foreign direct investment in dollar, whether all those things translate to food, whether all those things translate to food on the table of ordinary Nigerians. Only time shall tell.
It's quite interesting. Nigeria is interesting all the time. There's a whole lot to talk about.
Yeah.
But beyond talk, there's a whole lot of work that needs to be done so that this country can reach the potential that God has blessed it with, can maximize it. Else, I will just turn it around and around in the same circle for so long. Let's see if this will work. Hello?
Yes, let's go to calling back.
Wow, at least to fill the void. I was going to say, since it's you we have, yes, please do, go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much. Please permit me to deviate a little.
From?
There is no country of the world that can develop her economy if you continue to depend or rely on the forecast and prediction of the World Bank.
Of course.
That is one of the greatest challenges we are facing in this country. Nigeria has her own unique problem, of which the World Bank or IMF do not understand. I know that they are doing a very wonderful job, but that is notwithstanding. They do not understand the unique problem we have here. If they offer you any advice, subject it to the local setting in Nigeria and see how it will affect the people before you implement it. Look at the issue of subsidy removal, the floating of naira, and most of this policy that the government came up with. Most of them are product of the advice from the World Bank. And if you look at it critically, it is not actually favoring we the populace. So, what I want the government personally to do, whenever the World Bank or IMF offer their advice, they should be very careful. They should not just take it hook, line, and sinker. They should consider the Nigerian
situation,
how it will affect them before they go about implementation. Because the World Bank or IMF, they are out to make profits. I don't know whether the government noticed that they are out to make for profit. So the government should be very careful in taking their advice. If the government can do that, it will help us. Because the multiplier effect of most of this policy, the fiscal policy that government have actually came up with, that is affecting us now, is the product of IMF and World Bank. And look at how it is biting us. So the government should look into that. And on the area of education, please, education, the government should be very careful. Let's return to technical education. The two ministers in the Ministry of Education, the substantive minister and the Minister of State, at least one should be somebody that is well grounded on the area of technological education to be able to actually meet wide that sector to grow this economy. I learned that they said about 80% of our education now will be mostly on the area of technology. It is a very wonderful development, but they cannot achieve that if we do not have a competent hand in that area, in the ministry, that will drive that. Please, I'm very sure the government is listening to us. The government should do the needful. Nigerians are suffering.
All right.
Nigerians are suffering.
Thank you very much, Dudu. If Dudu can get through twice in a row, I'm wondering what's happening elsewhere. Is it a network problem? We're waiting for your call. It's your chance to make your own contributions so that together we can say that we've done our bit. Now, talking about education, I think, like you have earlier highlighted, there's a whole lot that's very terrible in that area. You find graduates who can't even fill forms. I'm talking about maybe employment form, maybe whatever form and all that. And it's very saddening. It's very disheartening. You're talking about graduates who can't couple together 2-3 good sentences. You're talking about, I mean, they can't even represent whatever the cost that they have gone to school to. But like we have agreed, it's also an extension of the general society, the larger society, because everything is worked through corruption.
Yeah.
Because people can make, I mean, you saw what happened, and that's at least some credit to the last Minister of Education, where you had neighboring countries where people go to earn a BSc in 6 months.
Okay, yeah, and was able to actually...
Exactly, at least that will go down in our history as one very...
But that syndicate was actually, busted by Nigerian newspaper before the government now stepped in to investigate.
Yes. So I think that that's one credit that will go to him during his tenure.
Exactly.
And that shows you how terrible our situation has been. Because those countries also saw it, that because corruption rules here, it's a good marketplace for them.
Exactly.
And it worked for maybe years, only God knows when that.
Yeah, they traded as certificates for many years.
You can imagine that within 6 months, within 1 year, you could get a BSc degree and come back here and flaunt it.
So you finish on a foreign country and they give you a better job.
Exactly. They listen to you better because you come from a foreign country. So these are some of the issues. Issues of corruption are really dealing with us as a people.
And unfortunately, this government too has no clear-cut corruption, anti-corruption policy or drive.
Well,
clear-cut.
Maybe we should agree that
clear-cut. There is no clear-cut.
The EFCC is probably doing some work.
I don't believe so. Forget about telling us they recovered so billions of dollars in 1 year. No. If your mechanism is selective, every other thing you're doing is bad. Look at the news in the last 48 hours.
About
Okowa.
Yeah.
He honored EFCC invitation at the Port Harcourt Zonal office in Rivers State. He was detained. It became a news. EFCC released the news that has been arrested. Gleefully. So if you have a question to answer, so be it. Let him be questioned, arrested, and even charged to court if it need be. But what is special about Yaya Bello, former governor of Kogi State? Is it because he's a member of the APC, the ruling party?
No, but I thought they finally arrested him.
Who?
There was some info. In any case, his case has been very.
Will he happen to be arrested and to be covered? No, it's special.
It's a sacred.
So Tinubu has no clear-cut anti-corruption fight policy. It's not.
Wow.
Remember, the governor who was leaving office was accused by EFCC chairman of having misappropriated 70 billion naira. The EFCC chairman was removed for that misnomer, for saying too much. And the then outgoing governor got a ministerial appointment as a reward.
As a reward for squandering.
I don't know, for no performance. See, if you are a governor and you are going for a second term and you lost, what do I say? It was a referendum on your performance. You have got ministerial appointment instead. What kind of politics is that? You govern people for 4 years, you have advantage of another 4 years. People are saying, no, we don't want you. That election was a referendum on your conduct, your everything.
Exactly.
Forget about the 70 billion fraud allegation. It remains an allegation. But what kind of politics is that? Just to spite some people, having wrong people at sensitive positions. Yeah, they say the man built Lagos. So
there's a whole lot that we need to do going forward, because we need to position ourselves. The poor positioning is really affecting, is getting to us. That's why many times these foreign countries can even make our country a dump site of low quality goods, of expired.
It has always been.
Products and all kinds of things.
NAFDAC has always been using alarm making discoveries. It has always been.
We really, I don't know, but I think that's the whole essence of what we're doing, and let's hope that what we're doing will bear fruit.
Amen. God help us.
So, right now, I think we should be doing our last lines, and let's tell Nigerians, I mean, maybe wish Trump a good tenure.
Yeah.
And
congratulations.
Let's hope that's all the things that people expect he will be able to bring to the table. Particularly, we need peace all over the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And all eyes
are on him to
on America to foster global peace.
Yeah. We need peace. We need peace. Too many people are dying for nothing, and I think an end should be put to that rampage.
Exactly.
Yeah. So at this point, we're saying congratulations, President Donald Trump. We wish you a great tenure, and we're expecting that this tenure will also do Nigeria good, do Africa good, and we trust that our people will do all is required to be able to meet at a good place. Yeah. And so as we go now, we say thank you. I want to say thank you to you for coming, for honoring the invitation. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you for all that you bring to the table all the time. I just want to say a big thank you to the production team. You guys are great. You're wonderful. You're dependable all the time. And I also want to say thank you to the producer of the program. I want to say thank you to millions of our viewers around the world. And thank you to you that made the effort to call. Those of you who tried but they didn't connect, or for one reason or the other. We are all very grateful to you. Together we make this this program great, and ultimately we make Nigeria great. Thank you for being there. At this point, I'm out.